Good afternoon. Welcome to Innovision's second of 3 Meet the Finalists virtual receptions. We have a fun and interesting hour planned as we introduce each of the finalists in both the small business and education categories. But before we get started, let me mention a few things about our program this afternoon. One, we're going to monitor the chat board. So if you have a question, put it in there, and hopefully we'll have some time at the end where we'll present those questions to our finalists. And second, as you may have noted, we are recording today's session. And so we're going to be posting that on the Innovision website tomorrow. And it'll be promoted through our weekly newsletter, as well as through Facebook and LinkedIn. And we certainly invite you to share it with anyone that you think might be interested in this. So with that said, let me now turn it over to Amy Robichaud, a member of our founding team of Innovision and our current chair of the board. She'll share a few words with us and introduce Matt Bell, our discussion moderator today.
Thanks, Michael. Congratulations to the Innovision Award finalists in small business and education, and welcome to the Innovision community. Our primary goal is to highlight, promote, and foster innovation, providing and making connections or collisions with peers and ecosystem support organizations is just one avenue we use to do so. So I hope you'll be connecting with fellow innovators during and after this event. We're able to showcase South Carolina innovations and innovators today with support from South Carolina Research Authority, which includes sponsorship of Meet the Finalists webcast series, a collaborative and supportive working relationship, and providing a great board member, fellow player. Thank you, SCRA. Additional support for this particular webcast is being provided by Robinson Ventures. They're a new sponsor for the Small Business Award, and also thanks to Tektronic Industries Consumer Power Tools, a longtime sponsor of the Education Award. Matt Bell, Director of SC Launch, will facilitate the finalist introductions and discussions. Thanks, Matt. We've seen SC Launch announcements quite often recently. Tell us just the latest news from SC Launch, or just give us some observations about innovation in South Carolina before you kick off the introduction.
I pulled a Michael there. Amy, thank you. We're honored to participate in the event and to sponsor it, and we see this as an absolutely key activity for development, identification, and fostering of innovation within the South Carolina ecosystem. SCRA, or South Carolina Research Authority, is also involved with identification, fostering, and moving technology throughout our ecosystem. Through 3 primary methods. One is through our industry partners, identification and working with those industry partners and moving innovation into those opportunities, introducing innovation opportunities to those industry partners as we can. 2 is working with our universities, an obvious and key point for the creation of that innovation. And 3 is through SC Launch, which is the investment affiliate that I manage, which focuses upon working with startups, mentoring them, in many cases funding them, and trying to get them into a position where they can fully commercialize the technology that they're trying to develop. And with that in mind, I'd like to introduce a number of our finalists here, a number of key assets within our innovation ecosystem here in South Carolina. And you can see them there on the screen, but we're going to work our way through each of those companies, give them a chance to introduce the participants that are here today to tell you about these companies, and 2, to give them a couple minutes just to describe the things that they're doing and how it applies to the improvement of our society in general. So with that, I'm going to kick it off and turn over to our first Small Business Award finalist. Dr. Banerjee, if I could have you just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Rituparna Banerjee. I'm the founder and CEO of Advent Innovations. We are an engineering company based in Columbia, South Carolina. And joining me on the call today are Dr. Sean Beard, our Chief Technology Officer, and Dr. Mustasin Indalib, our Senior Software Engineer, and our project engineers, Mr. Sirazos Salikin and Mr. Malachi Fleming.
Apologies. Thank you, Dr. Banerjee. We're going to go to Asset LLC, and I'm going to turn it over to Ben.
Hi, everybody. I'm Benjamin Davis, founder and CEO of Asset, and joining me today is Victor Hurst, who is the co-founder and CMO.
Thank you, Ben. And do you go by Benjamin or Ben?
Benjamin.
Benjamin. I will change that. Thank you. Kristen with Heartbeat Technologies, could I have you give a quick background?
Sure. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Kristen Quinn. I'm a surgeon at the Medical University of South Carolina and CEO and co-founder of Heartbeat Technologies. We are developing the Saver, which is a non-invasive CPR adjunct.
Thank you. We're going to turn now to our Education Award finalists, and I'm going to start with MEDX Academy with Camila and Sarah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Camille Bell. I'm a Nursing Academics and Student Programs Manager with Prisma Health, and here today to just talk about our Nurse Extern program that is part of the MEDX Academy. With me today, I have Veronica Dees, Executive Director of Nursing Scholarship and Program Development at Prisma Health, as well as Jean Meyer, our Chief Nurse Executive.
And my name is Sarah Knowles, and I'm the manager of MEDX Academy Pipeline Program. And with me today, I have Mr. Al Squire, the Executive Director of MEDX Academy and Pipeline Programs. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Tina, can I have you go next with Skills Gap?
Hi, everyone. I'm Tina Zwolinski, the CEO and co-founder of Skills Gap. We're located in upstate South Carolina in Greenville, and I'll be sharing about our mobile game technology that connects youth to careers in manufacturing and cybersecurity.
And finally, with Sprattronics with Preston Spratt.
Good afternoon. My name is Preston Spratt. Been a teacher and principal for the past 15 years and have recently opened Sprattronics Learning Lab.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. We're going to go around again, and this time we're going to spend 5 minutes. We'll try to keep it to 5 minutes. That way we have plenty of time for questions at the end, and allow each of the finalists to present kind of what they're doing and the main reason that they're sitting here as award finalists in terms of the innovation that they're developing and bringing into the ecosystem. We're going to start with the Small Business Award finalists again, and I'm going to turn it over to Advent Innovations.
Sure. Thank you so much. Hello again, everyone. I'm Dr. Rituparna Banerjee, founder and CEO of Advent. And I have a couple of slides to go through to talk more about our innovation. So Advent Innovations is a company based in Columbia, South Carolina. And as I mentioned before, this is our team who is joining us in the call today, who are actively involved in this innovation that I'm going to speak about. Just to begin, a brief overview of the areas of expertise for Advent. We mainly work in government SBIR, STTR projects, encompassing robotics and mechatronics, and materials development, mainly for sensing applications. And these sensors are used in non-destructive evaluation and structural health monitoring of a variety of different materials like composites and metals. Finally, our expertise is also in the development of artificially intelligent and machine learning algorithms, which are applied in different industries like aerospace and agriculture. So primarily for this technology, we have been awarded by the Department of Transportation in a phase 2 SBIR project to develop a pair of disinfection and decontamination robots for transit centers and transit assets. In this project, we are working with the University of South Carolina, as well as the local transit agencies, the Comet, based in Columbia, and GreenLink, based in Greenville, South Carolina. So the COVID-19 pandemic has presented us with many challenges, and amongst that, the safety of our transit riders and transit operators were also at stake, with them being exposed to the SARS-CoV-2 virus frequently when the buses, as well as all the other transit assets, were in action. So there was a need for the safe and efficient method for decontaminating and disinfecting these public transportations. In the context of this pandemic, Advent collaborated with its different partners, the local transit agencies, to develop a pair of sibling robots called the Yogi and the Ether, which will work in sync to disinfect buses as well as bus stations where the buses are waiting in between their different trips. So this sibling robotic technology uses a set of two different dual disinfection mechanisms to achieve that target. And also primarily it works in sync with our transit personnel who are at work there, rendering this public transportation harmless for them when they go in for their cleaning purpose. Let's have a closer look at each of these two robots that we are developing. To the left, you can see the smaller one, which is called the Yogi Bot. The name is because of its flexibility that it has in terms of maneuvering around the different narrow spaces, as well as climbing up and down the stairs of buses and getting underneath the seats. Onto the right, we have the Ether Bot, which is larger in size, and that is meant for the disinfection of larger areas in the stations where people are waiting for the buses or are waiting for other modes of transportation. So both of these Yogi Bot as well as the Ether Bot have the dual disinfection technology like I spoke about before. They have the UVC lamp as well as spraying devices, and both of these work in sync for eliminating all known pathogens. Most of the known pathogens are targeted, including the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Other than that, it also has ultrasound and LiDAR sensors, which can form a 3D map of the area where it is approaching and can detect and work around obstacles. So in combination with these two, they are able to maneuver and disinfect all our public transportation assets. Finally, to sum up, both of these robots, as you see on the right, have been developed in their initial prototype form because we just completed a phase 1 and right now we are in the phase 2 development. So up top is the Yogi Bot and the bottom you see there is the Ether Bot, both of which are helping in contactless disinfection and hence making the cleaning process safer for the transit workers. They're able to move around, maneuver in different directions, as well as up and down stairs and uneven terrains. And they have a load of different cameras and sensors to avoid obstacles. And the dual disinfection technology makes sure that, if one of the modes of disinfection is not able to get to that particular pathogen, the second one will. So they can either be used together in sync or individually as required based on the circumstance. One more lucrative part is the self-charging and disinfection mechanism that once it is done with the cleaning, it can come back to its charging station and self-charge and disinfect itself. So it minimizes the contact with any human personnel in terms of safety. Finally, there is a remote operation. So as I mentioned before, these robots are both autonomous. So they are capable of functioning on their own, as well as there is a lot of human-robot interaction also, which it relies heavily on. So that is why through different apps, which is built into your phone or even through remote control technology, both of these can help in maneuvering or operating these robots. So this is right now, we are in the stage where we are making these two robots more ruggedized for the application. And we would like to thank Innovision for providing us this platform for showcasing the two robots so that we can reach out to a broader audience. And thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Dr. Banerjee. As you can probably hear in my voice a little bit, I'm fighting a bit of a head cold. So I think my home office here is probably a perfect testing facility for that. We're going to turn it over to Benjamin with Asset LLC.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everybody. I'm Benjamin Davis, founder and CEO of Asset. We're honored to be here today as being named a finalist for the Innovision Award. We're going to speak a little bit about what we're doing at Asset, where we are creating truly intelligent infrastructure This is not just another connected IoT device like your microwave talking to your fridge, but technology that integrates with the surrounding physical space to solve any challenge. So our current focus is improving reaction times to and predicting falls among older adults living in independent assisted living and nursing homes using solely the vibrations of the flooring. I'll turn it over to Victor so he can discuss a bit about why falls are such a big problem and what the current solutions are.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor Hirth. I'm a physician in geriatrics, which is the care of the older adult. And our approach is a problem-based approach to a very common problem in older adults. 25% of people over the age of 65 will suffer a fall in the coming year. That percentage approaches 60 to 70% of people living in long-term care. As everyone is aware, there's an aging demographic occurring not only in the United States, but in the Western world of an increasing number of older adults, many of whom are unfortunately suffering falls. Falls are a significant cost from both a quality of life and cost of hospitalization standpoint, but also just the ability to identify people at risk for falls and identifying and intervening to help prevent future falls, as well as detecting people who've fallen, may not have suffered an injury, but could have prolonged periods of time on the floor and suffer the consequences of that. So we think there are a number of approaches that have been developed that ours is unique and different from those. What we have developed is an ambient system that doesn't require the person to wear anything. Most of the current technology available for fall detection are either pendants, wristbands, or other devices, including cameras, most of which older adults and even younger ones are not interested in from a privacy standpoint. Our solution provides a system that requires no interaction of the person being monitored. That is, the environment knows what's going on when the older adult is walking, stumbling, or falling. And again, doesn't require any charging, no devices to be applied, and no interaction from the person being monitored.
Thank you, Dr. Hirth. Is it Dr. Hirth? Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hirth. I'm going to go to Dr. Quinn with Heartbeat Technologies.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Quinn, CEO and co-founder of Heartbeat Technologies. Heartbeat Technologies is a medical device company based in Charleston, Mount Pleasant area, and we're developing the Saver to change the clinical landscape of cardiac arrest care. In my role as a surgeon at MUSC, I witnessed firsthand these dismal outcomes of cardiac arrest almost daily. Cardiac arrest affects over 650,000 Americans every year, and these events are 90% fatal. Of those few that even survive, an additional 90% of them suffer neurologic injury, which can range from mild cognitive impairment to needing full-time assistance with their activities of daily life. About 60% of these survivors either never return to work or are never able to go back to full work hours after their cardiac arrest. That's about a $33 billion loss on just post-cardiac arrest care and $200 billion lost annually by way of people not going back to work and taxable incomes. So to address these problems, we are developing the Saver. The Saver is a non-invasive CPR adjunct that uniquely increases blood flow to the heart and brain during a cardiac arrest event. Our data thus far in our Porcy model that we've developed here at MUSC has demonstrated a 10 times increase in perfusion to the heart during these events and a 50 times increase in perfusion to the brain, which is very exciting. The other value of the Saver is that it provides critical feedback to the rescuer. By using an easy to read gauge, much like that seen on a fire extinguisher with part of it painted red, part of it painted green, the Saver allows any kind of rescuer, be it a physician, an EMS, or a layperson in the community, to provide high quality chest compressions. Oftentimes, you may have never seen or been trained in CPR, and if you're the bystander, you could be that person to save a person's life. The Saver can decrease death and disability. It's a single-use disposable device, and the Saver is affordable, portable, and designed to be intuitive to use for all persons in the community. We visualize the saver being stocked everywhere that you find the automated defibrillators or the AED boxes currently. So not just in hospital units, but in stadiums, parks, airports, nursing homes, and rehabilitation centers. There are many future implications for the Saver technology, and we look forward for your support to be able to bring the Saver to patient care. We're honored and excited to be part of this wonderful group of finalists and looking forward to networking with those here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Quinn. As you can all appreciate, these are really interesting technology sets and could add a tremendous amount of value into our ecosystem, which is why they're here as award finalists. I would encourage anyone on the call. These are also very early stage companies that are dealing with the challenges of being an early stage company and trying to bring these technologies into their full potential. So anyone on this call who has resources or ways to assist, I would really encourage you to reach out to these companies, because this is a significant challenge for these companies to bring these forward. I can say that from experience. Michael, we've got about 9 minutes before ahead of schedule. I think we've got some time for a couple questions. I don't know if there's anyone online who has typed anything into the chat. Alternatively, if you've got a question for any of these 3 companies in our Small Business Award section, we've got a few minutes here to take some questions if you have any.
Sure. So nothing in the chat yet, Matt, but I'll echo your comments. Just an impressive group of people and accomplishments. And I'm particularly touched by Asset with the stable monitoring. My father's in memory care, 94 years old, still able to get around, but I'll tell you, he scares me every time he takes a step, because there's a little bit of that wobble in there, and I'm wondering, is this going to be the time, right? So I really, I'm excited by what you're doing. If you can predict that and even better, maybe stop it. I mean, you guys got a gold mine there, so that's great.
Thank you. Since you bring that up, would it be, our intent was actually to go back to Benjamin Davis to talk about the technology. Is that still an opportunity we might have?
Yes, we've got about 2 more minutes if you could do it really quickly. That way we can get some questions in.
Yeah, sure thing. So I can provide some more details on that. So one of the huge benefits of this technology is it doesn't require cameras or anything line of sight. You can hide it under a floorboard. You can feel vibrations on the other side of a wall. So it's truly ambient, and you can put it in inconspicuous places. The sensors themselves are pretty small. They're about half the size of a D-cell battery, and you only need one to, say, detect a fall or a footstep. But we can also locate to within a few feet using 2 sensors, which is a step above triangulation, which usually uses 3. So combining that information coming from the footsteps and the prior history of falls, we can combine that information into a model that helps us do the prediction that Michael was mentioning earlier, so that we can identify those persons at higher risk, and the care facility can get them the appropriate rehabilitation or help mitigate that fall risk.
So what kind of range does that have? You mentioned 2 sensors could do a triangulation. I'm thinking, for instance, the facility my father's in is full of a number of hallways. So would that be like 2 sensors per hallway? Is that kind of how it would work?
No, it's more independent than that. It's more 2 sensors for 2,000 square feet.
Wow. Okay. So should I ask how much?
Sign up for our alpha and you can find out.
All right. Sounds fair.
There is an old technology I was working on at the University of Michigan many years ago that was actually trying to put airbags into the floor. So your sensor would sense someone falling down and the airbag would deploy to catch them. So it is a big problem. It is a big problem. Any questions from the audience? We got about 5 more minutes. I wanted to get some time for that.
And while they're thinking, Matt, if they come up with some questions, particularly after the second segment, we can certainly open up to questions for both segments, right?
Absolutely.
Matt, I have a question. Just because some of the content went by rather quickly, could we revisit the Yogi Bot? I was trying to understand exactly what its disinfection technology was. I know that the larger one was UV. Is the smaller one just a chemical spray?
Yeah, so both of them use a dual disinfecting technology. So UVC lights along with the chemical sprays. So for both of them, they're using the UV light. So the Yogi bot also, if you had seen with its little arms and legs, it is able to maneuver up and down the uneven terrain inside the bus. And then when it goes inside the bus, it'll have mist sprayers down at the bottom as well as up on the top. And there's going to be a kind of an end effector arm on top that can reach up and go up to higher areas with the UVC light. And the UVC light will also have inbuilt sprays in there, which can also cover the different areas of the bus, the high as well as the low areas, with both the mechanisms.
Okay, I guess I was just a little surprised at how small it was, that it could have very much capacity for that sort of payload of both, a liquid cargo and a battery that could power the LED UV.
Right. So we are actually using low power LED lights for the UVC source, and also so right now we are working with Comet to figure out all the details as to what their current cleaning mechanism is in the buses. And so generally we are targeting a time of about 10 minutes to complete each bus. And based on that, the amount of liquid is needed. We are targeting a robot weight of about 15 pounds. That should be able to carry that much of the required liquid as well as all the components and be able to complete a bus in 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Now you had focused on buses. Is there a reason why you haven't considered like trains, subways, things like that? Or is that maybe your stage 2 or stage 3?
Yes, so initially, as I mentioned, this was, we responded to a solicitation that was released by the Department of Transportation, and that was for the disinfection of buses and transit assets related to bus transportation. But since this is, so there are many robots out there which are aimed at, aeroplanes, but for ground transportation, there is a very few types of robots. So first we are starting with buses, yes, because it is restricted with the solicitation, but this is such that it can also be extended to trains as well as other modes of ground transport.
Okay. So really quickly, Innovisions, I want to just outline kind of the category here we're working with Small Business Award finalists. These involve small business awards that are working for creative technology development and innovation technology application. They may be applied to a product, process, or service and intended for sale to customers for use inside the organization. To be eligible, these participants must employ fewer than 50 full-time employees or generate less than 20 million in revenue. I'm going to switch us over to the education finalists. The Education Award recognizes innovation in the education arena that creates new educational opportunities and experiences for students, new methods of delivery, and improved quality and efficiency. We do have 3 finalists tonight. We have heard introductions for each of them. I'm going to open us up with MEDX Academy with Sarah and Camille and have them spend a few minutes here just out, and they are with Prisma Health Systems, just so you know, and have them introduce you to the MEDX Academy and why they're here tonight.
Yes, thank you so much for that introduction. As you mentioned, we are a part of the Prisma Health system, and just a moment about Prisma Health. We are the largest healthcare system or organization in the state of South Carolina with nearly 30,000 team members to meet a goal of providing quality care and ensuring the best possible patient experience we can provide to improve access to care and increase education and research. One of the challenges we are aware of is that statistics show that South Carolina ranks 4th out of the states with the most extreme nursing shortages, with a projected deficit of over 10,000 nurses by year 2030. So a real challenge that we were faced with in the state of South Carolina. We have the Medical Experience Academy is our health careers pipeline program. And so I'll like to take a moment for Sarah Knowles to explain the MEDX Academy, and then we'll take a deeper dive into the Nurse Extern program specifically.
Awesome, thank you. So, hey everyone, MEDX Academy is a pipeline or pathways program that was founded in 2010 with 12 students, and now annually we host over 200 students. Every summer we work with students throughout their school year, including the nurse extern program. And so the students who we work with, they meet us as early as high school. We start with our Tier 1 program where students are rising seniors in high school. We work with students all the way until after they have graduated college. They're looking to enter the workforce or matriculate into a further graduate or professional program. Our goal is to grow students into a prepared healthcare workforce for the state of South Carolina. And MEDX Academy is different than other pipeline or pathways programs in a number of different ways, but I'm going to go through a few of those ways. First of all, we're hosted by Prisma Health, by a health system, as opposed to a single academic institution. And so what that does is allow us to provide program offerings that are very comprehensive across the board, clinical and academic. MEDX Academy also has a number of programs. We call them tiers. And so students can participate in a single tier, or they can participate in multiple tiers and grow their competencies so that they're really prepared to walk into the workforce. In addition, MEDX focuses and always has focused hugely on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging work. This is super important to us because we want to grow providers who can relate to the communities in which they serve. So any student from any background can participate in MEDX Academy. When we recruit, we're recruiting with keen interest on finding students who wouldn't necessarily have access to these resources. So we're looking for students who might be first-generation college students or those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. And again, our goal is to promote better patient outcomes by diversifying our talent pipeline and training students to engage in better and great quality care.
Thank you, Sarah. So through the MEDX Academy, we're able to provide our innovative nurse extern program. Our program provides an opportunity for rising senior nursing students to fully immerse themselves in the clinical environment. We do this by pairing a nursing student with a registered nurse for one-on-one mentoring for 10 weeks over the summer. The benefit of the program is for the nurse extern to truly see the real world of nursing. It supplements the knowledge and skills gained during nursing school, by which they are able to widen the lens of what they see. They're able to look at patient care from the RN perspective, not from one or two patients, but how does the registered nurse manage patient care? We want them to fully see every detail at the patient bedside, developing and refining skills such as critical thinking skills, time management, prioritization, organizational skills, to simply increase their communication within the healthcare environment and increase their confidence along the way. These are all things that are necessary to learn as a nursing student that aren't necessarily found in a textbook, but are definitely needed for that successful transition to practice as a registered nurse. In addition to the patient care experiences, we provide clinical enhancement opportunities throughout the summer. Those include education classes, hands-on simulation. We bring in subject matter experts to speak about pertinent topics such as legal aspects of nursing and ethical dilemmas in healthcare, as well as interview tips and resume best practices to help prepare these nursing students for when they are looking for their career, their new first position. We also offer students the ability to participate in an NCLEX self-paced review course. The NCLEX is the licensure exam that all nursing students are required to take to become a registered nurse. And so that resource is available to them while they're in their last semester of nursing school. They can use the resources to further their knowledge of what they're learning in school, but also for test prep when they're ready to sit and take the NCLEX exam. So not only are we supporting our students while they are with us over the summer, we're continuing that relationship when they go back to school by providing this resource. And one last thing that we have done recently is expanded our program so that we can reach more students by including those that are enrolled in nursing school over the summer. Historically, our program has required 36 to 40 hours a week, which makes it really difficult for someone that's in a nursing program over the summer to be able to take advantage of a program like ours. And so we have a track for those students that requires a reduced number of hours so they are still able to benefit from our program and still be successful while they're in nursing school and supplement their learning while they're in school. We've received excellent feedback from our students and are just thrilled for the opportunity to be here today to talk about it. And thank you again.
I still can't get over in my notes. South Carolina, this is from you in the notes. South Carolina ranks 4th in the states with the most extreme nursing shortage, with a projected deficit of 10,400 nurses by 2030. That says a lot right there. And
Yes.
I think it's appropriate that the next company has the name Skills Gap. So Tina, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you describe Skills Gap.
We might be able to help with that problem, that challenge. MEDX is a fantastic program. It was good to hear about that. I knew several students that have gone through that. So I'm going to continue the conversation of workforce pipeline development. My name is Tina Zwolinski. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Skills Gap. I like to lead with the fact that we are a women-owned company here in South Carolina. And our company, Skills Gap, is a workforce pipeline development company, but our product is what is up for the finalists, which is Ed Technology, and it's mobile gaming, and the product name is Skillionaire Games. And so we focus on the in-demand careers. Our mission is to connect youth, especially the underserved, to life-changing careers in cybersecurity, as in manufacturing. That could include aerospace, automotive, the life sciences that I'm going to show a little bit on today, as well as advanced manufacturing, agriculture, skilled trades, soft skills. But just for a little statistics for everybody on the call, currently, there are 700,000 open jobs in cyber that most middle schoolers and high schools, which is our focus group, never hear about. And careers can be starting at $90,000 without ever going to college. And then by 2025, there'll be 2 million available manufacturing jobs that also have alternative pathways through 2-year certifications where you can start at 50,000. So for Skills Gap, we saw a need to create awareness around these careers and the opportunities in them, as well as the most important and the differentiator for our company is the access to those jobs and the pathways right around the player. So I'm going to share my screen. And as I share it, I'm only going to show a couple slides just for visuals, because gaming's fun. So we should have some fun. The statistics for the audience we're going after, Gen Z, is middle school up through age 24, entering your workforce. And 98% of them, no matter their economic background, have access to a smartphone. 90% of those play mobile games. And here's an interesting stat: 7 hours a day this generation spends on their phone, and that is outside of schoolwork. So there's a real opportunity to connect to these generations. We saw a need for underserved and to be able to scale for that awareness and to connect them into these jobs. So we have 9 game models. I'm not going to show them all today, but they're all the same framework. And what I'm going to share today, since this is a South Carolina award, I'm going to share the game that is deployed in South Carolina called Rad Lab, which any middle schooler and high school, it's free to play. There's a fun competition right now if you want to share it with others, where there's some really big prizes. So, and then the biggest prize is landing a career. So I'm going to play a video and I'm going to watch to make sure that this played well in prepping for this call. Let's see if it runs well on the internet right now. So that's just a little teaser. The students get to experience different environments within an industry. So now instead of just knowing about one career or two, they learn over 100 and get to see different environments. And so DEI for us is really critical. So our players get to choose gender and race neutral avatars so that they are able to see themselves in these environments and to try on these careers in non-threatening environments. It's single player, although there are other characters interacting with them. It's a safe space for them to try on these jobs, to fail and try again, and just have a lot of fun. And there's opportunities for us to highlight employees across the state that look like them, and so they can see themselves in these types of jobs. Our games are playable in English and Spanish. They are free to play, so there are no barriers for any student. We partner with industry, economic development organizations in order to cover the cost to deploy these games across states and regions. We're deploying across the US and California, other locations, and then looking across the globe as well, because it is a global challenge. The games are also playable on Chromebook to support the in-school play. And so if you just think about the differentiator for us is that geolocation play, connecting students so that if they like this job in the game based on their geolocation, they start to learn about what's around them, what companies in this industry are around them, what are the educational pathways, a technical school around them might have a program, and they get served that. And they can actually click on a link and go over and apply for the program if they're age appropriate. And so it really for us was making it so that the students can navigate these jobs, but then advocate on their own behalf to get into these careers, or to talk with their parents or guidance counselors, guardians about, hey, I'm playing this and it says I should do this. Could you help me? And then if they're in these environments, then they should be able to be recruited because they show interest. So within our games, there is a model that educational pathways can recruit these players, as well as companies that might have a certificate, can come right out of high school and be able to go right into a job. So now we're looking at being able to recruit talent that has awareness around the industry. And so the industry can look to see that turnover go down, and so that there won't be as heavy turnover, and the cost that companies have for training an individual or recruiting an individual can be between $2,000 and $5,000 per person. So when you have turnover, you can see where it gets really pricey. And then on my last slide, so we don't get overwhelmed, as the youth play these games for different achievements, they earn badges. And so it aligns with state's assessments and outcomes for STEM, life science, science. So it's aligning with the Department of Ed, but they have these badges. And in South Carolina, the companies are aware of these. And so it's exciting for the students to have these achievements and just real success from play to career. And ultimately that we'll start to see with underserved youth that they're in these careers with tremendous opportunity and benefits, and that we see cycles broken and just some really exciting opportunities within those industries for new innovation, and that they'll be on these calls one day.
So Tina, as someone who's been in the workforce for over 30 years, I kind of feel like I need to play one of those games just to see if I made the right life choices.
Well, you might get recruited for a new one.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We're going to turn it over to Sprattronics Learning Lab, Preston Spratt, and let him walk through what he's doing.
Hey, good afternoon. Preston Spratt with Sprattronics Learning Lab. And so the problem for families is that traditional schools not maximizing the potential of their children. We've grown accustomed to accepting proficiency rates in the 40% range. Many children are spending their day waiting at school, bored, or just simply uninspired. We're rewarding children for compliance and silence, even the brightest ones in school. Problem solving, creativity, and independence has largely disappeared from many schools. The past few years have generated extremely wide education gaps, and it's accelerated the adoption and implementation of new programs catered to the needs of the children's first teacher, their families. 4% of public school children have left, 2 million children are opting out of traditional school for better options. Education is changing, and it's changing from the bottom up, not from the top down. Arizona, West Virginia, and 6 other states have already created ESA accounts that are directly funding children in choosing the education that best works for them. We're Sprattronics Learning Lab, a unique enrichment environment focused on maximizing potential through hands-on learning, collaborative groups, and the freedom to explore their interests. When children come to Sprattronics Learning Lab, they have access to great science materials, weekly real-world engineering problems to solve, and a facility designed to encourage their creativity. Families have traditionally had to choose either going to a traditional school and accepting everything that comes with that institution, or homeschooling their child and becoming the sole provider of education for the child in their care. At Sprattronics Learning Lab, we seek to bridge that gap, to make an opportunity in between those two extremes where a family can choose the curriculum and the materials that best meet the needs of their child and have a place where they have access to great teachers, great classes, where they can supplement so that they have the opportunity to focus on what they love at home, and then also have the opportunity to turn their children over to learning engineers for a few hours every few days in order to maximize their child's potential. So at Sprattronics Learning Lab, we're really empowering families to choose the best education for their child and maximize their potential.
Thank you, Preston. We do have a few minutes for some questions here. Michael, I don't know if there's something on the chat bar, or if someone in the audience wants to ask this group of participants a couple questions. Now's the time to do it.
There I am again.
What I said
Nothing
before.
specific in the chat bar, Matt, although Tina and I were exchanging private messages, making that obvious connection between MEDX and skills gap that you had identified. In fact, the thing that's interesting, when we were talking earlier, she has kind of this pipeline sort of 5 to 8 year sort of thing. That seems to fit almost perfectly, well, maybe not perfectly, but certainly in line with that nursing shortage peak. So feeding the pipeline so that MEDX can then take it the next step sounds like a great connection here. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. We were talking about that here too. Thanks for bringing that up.
Any other questions out there? Matt, I don't know. Maybe these presenters have done such a good job of taking these fairly complicated topics and breaking them down that we can chew on them.
I think that's a given. They did great. And there's a question.
Okay, we do have one here. Is Rad Lab deployed in any schools? And I would have loved to use this to experience this in my early days. I guess he's just echoing your comment, Matt. Mm-hmm. But you want to speak to that? Is it in any schools here locally?
Yes.
I think
right now for South Carolina, it's deploying right as we speak here. So the Department of Ed approved it to be used in all the schools. So we're looking at between the middle schoolers and high schools being able to create awareness to 400,000 students about the life sciences, and health is covered in that. So there's connectivity there. So a lot of schools, what's been really exciting is we've kind of, as a company, had Department of Ed sort of as an outlier, but it has been, I think, a lot with COVID and just the need to help the career counselors with support. We've had so many career counselors and teachers reaching out to use it in school, and they can, as well as an outside source. So schools all across the state of South Carolina, and our team actually has a deployment team that we go into a lot of the underserved areas to focus in on getting those students connected. So a lot of schools across South Carolina, and then schools in San Bernardino County, California. So yes, it's being used in many schools across South Carolina.
Okay, a follow-on question to that, Tina, was, have you ever worked with FIRST Robotics?
No, I'm not familiar with what that is.
Hasib, I don't know if you want to maybe tell her more.
Yeah, I would love to. In my high school years, I was in a robotics club based around this company called First Robotics. We did these robotics competitions, and it was a great way to gain experience in this robotics and technologies field. And it's a process with 3 different tiers, starting from elementary to middle to high school, with advances of robotic like competitions. And I know in those competitions, there are multiple career opportunities or career development paths you can go into. And this seems like a great platform to incorporate some sort of robotic, what's called it, like games, similar to First that I saw in your app.
Fantastic idea. I will dive into that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, man, I was thinking of pulling Preston into the conversation. He'd mentioned in your presentation, Preston, that you were bridging that gap between homeschool and formal schooling. Maybe you could elaborate a little bit more. Is what you're advocating that as a parent, I send my kids to formal education and then supplement it with Spreadtronics, or how do you fit into that void?
We're for any family that's looking to maximize their child's potential. And there are many great schools in South Carolina where you have access to great opportunities, but maybe not the best science and engineering. And so you could supplement us with us. We field First robotics teams for ages 6 through 16 here at Spreadtronics. Ages 6 to 10, they use basic Legos. 10 to 12, they do Lego robotics. And then 12 to 16, they use VEX robotics. And so if you choose to homeschool your child to be in control of the curriculum, you shouldn't lose out on all the extracurricular activities and access to technology that is often paid for at the school level. So you can get that as well as a supplement.
Okay.
Adding to that, Preston, I personally, on my personal time, go to the University of South Carolina, and there's a robotics team that actually coaches homeschoolers there directly at the universities, or at USC at least. And we take these high schoolers to different competitions, and the college students act as mentors for them in these different robotic competitions. So I don't know if you've ever, if you knew about that or have thought about going to the universities maybe.
Okay. I personally want to thank each of the participants. You guys did a fantastic job. I know it's always hard to give a presentation in 5 to 6 minutes, but you did wonderful, and you succeeded, because I think everybody has a great idea as to what you're doing, and we are ahead of schedule. So all worked out well. Michael, I'm going to turn this over to you to wrap it up.
Okay, that sounds great. So, first of all, I hope you can see what we all at Innovision see. It's just so exciting. The innovations themselves, as you've seen, are interesting, but the people behind them are even more interesting. They see a problem, some sort of need, and they set out and do something about it. Whether it's a medical device, a workforce or educational program, or community initiative, these creative people are helping others do something they couldn't do before. So let's give them all a round of applause here, brother. Kind of a big Zoom clap. We can go rooting or whatever your way of expressing excitement is. They've all, as Matt said, done a phenomenal job. And for those of you who want to meet more of the finalists, we'll be here next week at the same time to recognize the finalists in the sustainability and the technology application award categories. So please visit our website, innovationawards.org, or our Eventbrite page for registration links to be able to attend those virtual celebrations. And please consider joining us at our final award celebration, sponsored by Contact Inc. on November 15th, when we will again showcase these finalists and announce who the winners are. I'll tell you, I'd hate to be the judges in this particular situation. They've really found some outstanding candidates, so they'll have to figure that out. So see you next week. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.